Hi everyone, my name is Gusti Putri Pebriani. People usually call me Putri. Now I will tell you about the summary of the Cinderella film. Cinderella is a romantic fantasy film directed by Kenneth Branagh with a screenplay written by Chris Wade. The film was released in 2015. This film is an adaptation of the classic fairy tale that brings back the story of Cinderella with a modern touch and beautiful visual. At first, we are introduced to the main character, Cinderella. She is a young girl who lives happily with her parents in a house that her grandmother has lived in for generations. Cinderella's father worked as a silk merchant, whose job it was to leave home for months. Cinderella's mother is a housewife who also has several livestock in her house. Her mother had a very good disposition. This good disposition was passed down to her daughter, Cinderella. However, Cinderella's happiness became sad when her mother became ill and passed away. Several years passed, and Cinderella's father asked permission to marry a widow who already had two children, who had a background as a president of the Merchant Union. With her good character, Cinderella allowed her father to remarry. After her father's marriage, Cinderella's stepmother and two half-sisters, Anastasia and Rizella, moved into her residence. To welcome her move, Lady Tremaine throws a party. But Cinderella doesn't seem to be considered by her. Cinderella went to see her father, who was busy at work. Cinderella's father said that he had to go back to wandering. Cinderella was so sad because she only had a short time with her father. However, Cinderella let go of her father to go wandering. After that, Cinderella's stepmother told her to sleep in the attic and gave her room to her two stepsisters. A few days later, Cinderella learned that her father had died of illness, and she was very sad. Long story short, Cinderella's stepmother feared all the servants to save expense. Cinderella then had to become a servant and live under the mistreatment of her stepmother and two stepchildren. However, despite her life full of suffering, Cinderella still retains a good spirit and becomes an invincible symbol of kindness. One day, Cinderella was not allowed to eat with her, and she was annoyed and vented her frustration by going to the forest on her horse. Unexpectedly, in the forest, he met Prince Kit and his aides, who were hunting there. Prince Kit was stunned by Cinderella's beauty and kindness for forbidding him from hunting there. Cinderella didn't know the identity of the man in front of her. She thought that the man with her was an apprentice soldier. The two of them didn't reveal their respective identities. Then, in the palace, there will be a dance party in search of a princess who will become a wife for the prince. The prince agreed to his father's order, but on the condition that all people, both nobles and poor people, were invited to the event. The king agreed, and the news was announced and spread throughout the country. Cinderella, who heard the news, hurried home and told her stepmother. Her stepmother asked Cinderella to order dresses for the three of them. However, Cinderella sewed her own clothes because her stepmother didn't want to buy her a dress. The long-awaited event arrived, but Cinderella feels sad because the dress she sewed herself was ruined by her stepmother. They leave Cinderella at home alone. A sad Cinderella was startled by a grandmother who asked for a bowl of milk. The grandmother claimed to be a fairy godmother, but Cinderella didn't believe her. The grandmother changed her true form as a fairy godmother, and Cinderella also believed what her late mother said long ago. Long story short, the fairy godmother helped Cinderella go to the palace. She turned pumpkins into carrots, Cinderella's four friends into horses, and several other animals into coachmen and aides. The fairy godmother also changed Cinderella's appearance so that she looked very beautiful, not forgetting that the fairy godmother also changed Cinderella's shoes into beautiful glasses. Before Cinderella left, the fairy godmother said that her magic could only last until 12 o'clock in the evening, after which everything would return to its original forms. Cinderella had to go home before the time. In the palace, the invited guests had already filled the palace, but Prince Kid was still looking for the girl he met in the forest. Cinderella arrived at the palace, and although she was a little late, fortunately she managed to enter the palace. The prince, who saw Cinderella's presence, immediately approached and invited her to dance together. After that, Prince Kid takes Cinderella to another room, and Cinderella realizes that the man she is with is a prince. Prince Kid invites Cinderella to his secret garden. While playing on the swing, Cinderella accidentally takes off her glass shoes, and Prince Kid puts on his shoes. Long story short, it was 12 o'clock in the evening. Cinderella remembered the words of the fairy godmother, and then she left the prince. The prince continued to kiss Cinderella. In her haste, Cinderella was forced to leave one of her shoes behind so as not to be caught by the prince's adjutant. Long story short, The king died, and Prince Kid was made king. He wants to marry the mysterious girl who owns the glass house. So, a contest was held for all unmarried girls to try on the glasses, and if the size of the feet is appropriate, then it will be his wife. But there is not a single woman whose foot size matches the size of the shoe. Arrived at the last house, Cinderella's house. But Cinderella's stepmother locked her in the attic because her stepmother knew that the mysterious woman who owned the glass shoes was Cinderella. The adjutant gave Anastasia and Rizella the opportunity to try on the shoes. But the size of the feet doesn't match. Long story short, the adjutant was ordered by the king to inspect the entire room, and the adjutant managed to find Cinderella. Then the king put the shoes on Cinderella's feet, and the size of Cinderella's feet matched the glass shoes. Eventually, the king brought Cinderella to the palace, and they were married. They were considered the most just ruler of kings and queens the country had ever seen. The film presents a powerful message about the importance of keeping kindness in the heart, even in the midst of the cruelty of the world. Cinderella teaches us to never lose hope and to keep believing in ourselves. This message is conveyed clearly and feels inspirational, making this film suitable for all people to watch. Okay guys, thank you for watching and see you.